Hello, my name is Suzanne and I'm the founder of Discover Change, and we're all about sharing tips and strategies and inspiration that can help to make a positive difference. And today I'm here with Marcus Belben. Really excited to see you, Marcus. Hello.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. We'll be discussing actually working with the community, including also some important tips for promoting and running community activities. So I know, having collaborated with Marcus, you have extensive experience in organizing and running community groups and activities. And I'd actually like to ask you to share some of your experience and also maybe just some other useful tips with maybe some other volunteers and community leaders who are out there wanting to make a difference and run some of these groups. So thanks again for being here today. So maybe you could just start off with, because I know that you do a lot of different things, you've been involved in a lot of different projects. Maybe just in general, like what is it that you actually do and what is your experience in running community groups and activities?
Well, I suppose a lot of the work I've done has started from being a volunteer or some sort of connection with a particular issue or thing. So, for example, bringing up children has put me into contact with schools and stay and play groups and other things like that. And I suppose in my professional life, there's a lot of overlap between the two. I guess I would summarize by saying I sort of work creatively to learn and connect people. And that can be in any number of different settings and environments, either as sometimes as a volunteer, a leader, or participant, or any number of different ways.
Okay, great. And what types of activities exactly? Yeah, carry on.
Okay, well, for example, seeing as I mentioned schools, after school clubs is something that I have been involved in both as a paid person going in supporting, but also starting from scratch. So the Save Our Schools campaign, shout out for them. We started an after school club at our Kingsheath primary school when there was a cut to Friday afternoons. And it was a way of a positive response really, and engaging with the children to understand why it might be important that they are better off in school in a Friday afternoon than they might be at home, which, I think that's a good example of a need there, I suppose, in terms of an issue that I thought was very important, a group of people that I was already well connected with, the parents that also thought it was important, and something positive that we could do to make a difference. So I've also worked in a range of intergenerational projects. I've done a lot of life story work. I've set up a community arts group that was just literally about that, connecting schools and old people's homes. Again, recognising a need that people like talking about themselves, and it's a really important thing, and people can feel quite isolated, particularly in care homes. And that contact with children is really very important. And in fact, the children gained a great deal from it too. And there was a whole range of different smaller projects that kind of spun off from that project. Residence groups. So well, actually, it was started, I suppose, when my 6-year-old boy on his birthday was actually knocked over on his bike on his birthday with a brand new bike. Okay. And I guess I was already thinking around how dangerous the road outside our house was, and other issues around road safety. But and he's fine, by the way. In case anyone's worried, he is absolutely fine. He's very, very lucky.
Good.
It set me off on a route of campaigning. Well, we extended the 20-mile-an-hour route to outside our house, which was a big success. Some road improvements along our street, quite extensive ones, to prevent people parking on the pavements and to make the road slower. And partnership work with the local school, Swansea School, and in fact the pub as well, Billesley Pub, all getting together to deal with issues. On our road, it was speeding cars and actually parking outside the school, mostly by parents, that obviously the residents weren't very happy with. But actually what we recognised by getting people together was that well, to start contact between the school and the residents. And in fact, some of the residents have since gone in and run workshops as part of what we do. And we've had a project creating a public sculpture on the roundabout and a community garden space. So a whole range of things like that. Woodcraft folk, I'd like to, I feel like I'm mentioning, but I think it's really important. This is one of the things about doing community work. You have to acknowledge the importance of people or organisations that you're working with. Absolutely. So woodcraft folk is something that I've been involved in since my children started, and that's about getting children outdoors, working together. The big logo is Span the World with Friendship. I'm now the coordinator for woodcraft folk, so I'm trying to support other groups getting started in other areas. So it's something I obviously feel quite strongly about. Heritage Co-op, I suppose, is also worth mentioning, definitely. I was a founder member of that, and this is to do with the life story work where it started with. But then that link to, it's really important for people to, a lot of people in our society aren't heard effectively. And that's for all sorts of reasons. And I think People's Heritage Co-op is very much about empowering people so they can speak up about whatever issue, whatever thing it is. And certainly a lot of the time it's connected to life stories and history and all those sorts of issues that are really important to us. I think a lot of these, I'm sure that, I'm sorry if I've missed off anyone, by the way, if anyone's watching from an organisation.
I think you could probably, you've been doing so many things, haven't you, as well? And I think it's kind of, I can see that you've got great passion for the community and for people's well-being and bringing people together. So has that always been the case, or do you feel like through the projects you've developed more and more passion towards doing such a thing?
I think yes. I think experience of success and failing in terms of engaging and getting things done effectively is I suppose what's led me down this path, where I've seen that you know, I am very passionate about social justice. You know, I do think it's really important. People need to be heard, not just for their own benefit, for all of our benefits. You know, we need to be listening to people. So yes, I do feel strongly about those things. And I guess both my professional, I haven't actually mentioned the Active Wellbeing Society and Active Communities, which is my paid work, where there is obviously a lot of overlap with the other groups that I'm working with too, in terms of networking, at least. Absolutely.
And what sort of responsibilities do you have in your role for Active Wellbeing Society? What sort of projects have you been involved in, and what is it that you actually do in there?
Well, this last year, there's been a lot of changes, and that has very much affected what I've done in some ways. In other ways, I am in many ways just carrying on doing what I'm doing, because it's just a change of what those needs in communities are. So initially, back in March, I was moved off from my role supporting people to develop spaces outdoors for whatever they want to do, be that gardening or play or whatever, onto food, getting people fed and getting supplies out to people, which was hugely important in the early parts of the pandemic, and in fact I think continues to be, and is something that despite the end of this period, the poverty hasn't, and in fact I think it's probably worse. So there are a lot of people there who still need a lot of support in order to, I think, basic needs, but also to be heard as well, and to empower them to take action for themselves.